Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we're going to look at what's known as the Réti endgame. So in this position it's white to move, and the pawn on c6 is going this way and the pawn on h5 is going this way. So in this position it's white to play and draw the game. And I know what you're thinking straight away, how is white supposed to draw this endgame? Because the king will easily be able to capture this pawn on c6 if it starts running up the board. For instance, if c7, then king b7 will capture the pawn. And if white tries to chase the h5 pawn with king h7, black will just play h4, and there's no way for white to catch this pawn. And black should be able to queen. If you want to analyse this position yourself, I recommend pausing the video, give yourself some 5 minutes and just try and work out how white is supposed to draw this endgame. But the trick in this endgame is that the white king is supposed to be able to do two jobs at once. So the white king is going to try and deliver double threats to try and chase this h-pawn, but also try and queen their own pawn. And white's going to try and achieve this with diagonal movements. So rather than try and chase this pawn, so the best move for white here is to play king to g7. So what does king g7 do? Well, it gets closer to the black pawn on h5, and also slightly a step closer to the pawn on c6. So black now has some options. Let's first go through if black tries to run the pawn down the board. So black will play the move h4, trying to queen as quick as possible. And now white should play the move, another diagonal move, king f6. Again, we're closer to the pawn on h4 and one step closer to the pawn on c6. However, this still looks hopelessly lost. So what happens if black now tries to run the pawn again, h3? Well, now white should play the move king to e7, and white's a step closer to their pawn. If black decides to queen with h2, then white can play the move c7, and both sides actually queen at the same time. So after white's played king to e7, black may play king to b6, but actually this draws as well, because whites can play the move king to d7, and there's no way to stop white from promoting to a queen. Play would continue h2, c7, and both sides would get a queen. And this is a drawn position. So if we just go back to the starting position, again, white should play the move king to g7, and again if h4, white will play king to f6. So what happens if black doesn't run the pawn all the way? What happens if black plays, say, king b6 here to attack the pawn on c6? If white plays king to g5, then black's pawn will just run down the board. And surely if black plays maybe king to e7, then black will just capture on c6. So isn't white just in a lot of trouble? Well, actually white can play another diagonal move. If they play the move king to e5, this again gets one step closer to the h-pawn and one step closer to the c6 pawn. If black now captures on c6, white can capture the h-pawn and catch up to it with king f4, h3 and king to g3, and black will lose a pawn on the next move. So after king to e5, if black now plays h3, white should play the move king to d6. After h2, there's c7, and again there's no way to stop whites from promoting their pawn in a drawn endgame. For instance, h1 and c8 queens, which is again a drawn endgame. And even if you just go back to this position, if black plays king to b7, white can just play king to d7. And again, after h1 queen, there's c8 check with a queen, and again this is a dead drawn game. So maybe you're thinking as black, well, what happens if I just capture the pawn first? So let's see what happens with that. So king g7, black may be able to play king to b6. But here again, white should play king f6. And the point is, if black takes on c6, whites will be able to capture the pawn on the h-file. And just to go over this once again, if h4, then king e5 is the move that saved white, because white's catching up to this pawn on the h-file, and will also amazingly be able to support their own c-pawn. So this is one position that's fun to look at. It's a good trick of the eye, And it's a good position to show your chess friends who will probably struggle to work out how to draw in this position. Thank you for watching my video, and please subscribe if you want to watch more chess videos in the future, and I'll see you soon.